Hey guys, I'm doing this now while I'm eating, which is a lot tougher than the part one. I want to get this out. I want to talk about this. You can tell the difference from the last video to now. Now I'm really uncomfortable, but I want to tell this story. Trying to decide if I want to do it now or do it when I'm sitting down. I want to get this out. So you're gonna have to mind me while I'm eating and doing this, waiting for my pain meds to work to kick in. I'm gonna take breaks in this because my abdominal pain in my throat is very bad. This is just the life I live. There's a lot of stuff you guys don't see that I go through. And so I just wanted to let you know that in that last video that I made, not part one, but the one before it, deconstructing a deconstructing Christian, the echoes that you hear in there, that was because I didn't have it on a proper setting, so don't be thrown off by that. It's a real trick learning to make videos with kidney stones, gallbladder attacks, and that big scar there and the splenic flexure syndrome. It's I can't even describe to you what it's like. I do things in my life to have a flow. I have a flow life because the splenic flexure just means that my colon goes up into my splenic flexure, gets caught up there, and it causes a lot of colic, and that's why you hear this in my voice, and it can be a mixture of things. So it's very tough to discern what's going on at any one time. Like it can be one and you think it's another. It's very tricky. I was literally just in a bit of tears, I'm not kidding you, because I'm getting this out, and I'm wondering to myself, is it worth telling this story without telling some of the other parts? This is a very dramatic story, and I don't want to come across as trying to exalt my suffering. I don't want to do that. But I'm going to do it anyways. And as you can see, what I wrote in part one, I was ashamed to say this. I wrote this book. Hey, if you want to read that book, then you'll see. I don't like endorsing books. I like it. I don't want to sell. God, you can ask me. I'm not going to put it in my description. When I say I shouldn't be alive, I shouldn't be alive. Maybe 15 times over. When I was about 17 or 18 in high school, it's twice as hard talking now as it was just minutes ago. In high school, there was this pretty girl who liked me. She was a few grades down from me. She was very pretty, very likable, and like it wasn't an issue with me having girls attracted to me. It just never was for me, and it was a good, and it was, there was two sides to that coin. With autism and CPTSD, it was challenging, but I didn't know I was going through these things. Yeah, I have a kidney stone. I can feel it. So one day, let's just say this girl who really liked me was like kind of possessive at the beginning. I don't want to talk about other people, but this is a true story. I was 17 or 18, and because I hadn't asked this this girl to a party, I only met her like 1 or 2 times. She got jealous. Jealousy, right, isn't a good thing. Excuse me. And let's just say that I ended up at a party, a good party one weekend, and she was jealous. She called the house and had the hostess get me to the phone, and I went on the phone, and she was on the phone, and she was saying, like, you didn't invite me, and I said, like, I barely know you type thing, the way some women can be, right? Some girls, some women, whatever. At the time, I guess you'd say a girl, but she's very pretty. It got to the point where I can't remember how it happened. Someone took the phone from her, or she purposely gave the phone to somebody, and someone was on the other line. They were cursing, they were swearing, and they were talking in like a yo G type thing. Okay, that's just what happened. And like, these people were just downright threatening me. She was at some other party of a group of people who were known for being violent in this area at the time. And I said something. I had had a few beers by that point. I said something that I shouldn't have. It was like a racial slur, but it wasn't I didn't mean it that way. It wasn't like that. Okay, I'm not going to repeat what I said, but after I said it, so a whole bunch of people got on the phone, different people, and said, we're going to come get you. Okay, that kind of worried me, and I remember telling my friends that what had happened. They said they were going to come, and what I did was I made my way to the front of the yard just in case these people did come. I was drinking a beer. It was an excellent party, sunny day, weekend, a weekend party at school, and all of a sudden I was talking to someone, and someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, and there was a big black guy with a group of people, and they were, 3/4 of them were big guys. And I didn't even have a second to think, and he sucker punched me. I mean, he was much bigger than I was, and I was knocked out. I got knocked out right there, sucker punched. Fell on the ground, and pardon me just a sec. There were 13 of them, and they were kicking me repeatedly in I don't know, all over my body and all over my head, my face, and stuff like that. And I lost. So when they took off, only one of my friends dared to chase after them when they found out, because they were in the backyard. Next thing you know, I wake up in a bed, 13 men kicking and beating me on the ground, and like hit as hard as that guy could punch. I didn't even know it was coming. I wake up. Just give me a second here. I don't know if I did that. Yes, I did. I'm just making sure I published the other video. I wake up in a bed, a white bed. I'm wearing white Levi's jeans. I was wearing white Levi's jeans at the time. The bed covers, my pants were completely ruined, covered in blood. I could have died just right there, kicked in the temple, face, whatever. Pardon me, I'm going to have to take about 10 seconds. I could do this in a better state, but I just want to get this over with. This is what jealousy did. I got up out of the bed and said, no, wait for the ambulance. I was too angry. I was kind of embarrassed. They called my parents. No, I can't remember what happened to the party. I don't know if the party stopped or I don't think it did, but my parents came. They were in the driveway as I was walking at the house, and I wouldn't stop for anything. I was like in tunnel vision, and I walked all the way home. I had hitchhiked with my friend to that party with a case of beer, to a good party, and hitchhiked, and a friend picked us up, saw us. So I went home, and I didn't even notice till I got home. My front teeth were broken in half, and my face was messed up. So there's one thing for you right there. And I took that person back. Like she persuaded me to date her, and I was stupid, like, and I did like her, but went on to later betray me. But I guess this is a story of betrayal with a lot of different people, that are close to God. They've gone through a lot of things in their life. I have a full kidney stone. I can feel my kidneys being crushed on both sides. So you try making a video when you have a kidney stone. A few years later, I'm at a party in a place where I probably shouldn't have been, but it was a graduation party. I went to a girl that went to my graduation. She invited me to hers. I went to hers, and afterwards we went to some place, where all the people who were at the graduation went there, and I probably shouldn't have been there. And after it was over, we were outside waiting for a limo, and so I'm standing outside. I don't think people who know me knew this happened, how serious this was, and that I walked away. So I'm out there in the front, and some guy's yelling and screaming, and he's saying, "I hate people from Quebec, from Quebec, from Quebec." And I remember asking him something, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What's wrong? Why do you hate? And all of a sudden, someone again comes from behind, and I'm just about to turn around. I just get hit. That's it. Sucker punched. It was like it was his brother, and there's no reason for him to do that. I wasn't doing anything. I'm not the type of person who would start fights and do those types of things. Excuse me. So I got knocked out. I wake up. My lip is like my tooth went right through my lip. My nose is broken. So my nose got broken that first time with those 13 men, gets broken again, and it ends up getting broken again 3 times. I'll just leave it at that. I didn't do anything to deserve that. It goes to show you that you shouldn't be in certain places, right? You should always be doing the right thing. What did I write down here? Yes. There's a reason I call this I shouldn't be alive. I'll get to my legs if I do. You hear my voice is, like it's called muscle dysphonia. It's almost like dystonia, but it's different. Mine gets worse when my stomach gets squeezed from like a stone, or for a gallbladder attack, or my other syndrome. It gets better after I walk certain times of the day. Anxiety. This isn't caused by anxiety, but this is. Sorry. This is all in my book. I want to tell you the name of the book. Anyways, it's called Into the 10th Life. I'm going to be honest. I haven't heard more suffering in anyone's lifetime than what I went through. And I just went through a lot of different traumas. That's what I went through. But it ends good, because look at me, right? I don't mean look at me at this very moment. I have my moments. I'm very active. I'm in hobbies. I have my own business. I have my own place. Like, like I know what I'm doing in life. And I'll talk about God when I get to the end. This is my story. What I'm going to tell you now is tragic. A lot of things were tragic. I would, when I would end up in psychiatric wards, the reason I was there was from severe depression from drinking alcohol. Because my life was messed up when I was growing up. I'd gone through some stuff. And, but this time I wasn't drinking. Remember I told you about the benzodiazepines? I was abusing them, but I only started abusing them because I met someone in the hospital who had a lot of them. And I was trying to come off of Valium, and I went cold turkey because I told my doctor I wanted to come off of it. She's like, congratulations, that's good of you. It's an honorable thing to try to come off. How many patients do that? I don't know. It was around the year 2000. It's probably 2003. No information on the internet, no nothing. If a doctor doesn't tell you what's coming, how are you going to expect it? So by going through the horrendous withdrawal, like 50 symptoms coming at once, it drew me into this person I just happened to meet in the hospital who had a whole bunch of them. And I found out, hey, I can stop my withdrawal. I was in the psychiatric ward for a month voluntarily because I wanted support coming off of this. I got addicted to it. And after about, 6 months to a year of just just abusing the hell out of it, I couldn't take the withdrawals anymore. The withdrawals were so bad. Like I had been through at least 10 short-term withdrawals, not the long ones. Like 2 weeks is pretty long. Or sorry, I would abuse it for 2 weeks and then about 8 days of just horrible withdrawal. I couldn't take it, and I wanted to end my life. I don't know if this has to do with God, but I can only imagine it all has to do with God. I took my parents' car, and I planned out my death. And I went out, and I planned this very well. It was a 1995 car. It should have worked, and I tried to kill myself with carbon monoxide poisoning. I brought duct tape to seal up all the holes. I did everything correctly. When I tell you correctly, I don't want to sound like some mess up, like I just kept failing. It wasn't like that. And this is the crux of my story. So I take the car. Why I had my license, but I took it because I don't think my parents would give it to me because I was going through all these. I took it. It was like my dad was on like a business trip or something. I took off and I went down like this lone highway road, and I sat on the side. I set everything up, sat in my car, let it pour in for about 45 minutes. I may erase both of these videos. I don't know. I don't need validation from other people. You have to understand what I was going through. So I did that, and I did my research, and it wasn't working. There were no holes in the windows, nothing. I could smell it. 45 minutes, nothing. I'm like, what do I do now? Like, I can't do this. So I start driving down the road. All of a sudden, I look in the rear view, and there's a cop behind me, and the lights come on. I knew it was over. Pulled over. my brother and my dad, sorry, my mom came to take the car so it wasn't impounded. I don't know if they knew what I did, but obviously the smell would be out of there and everything. But I got out of the car. The police didn't give me any trouble, brought me to the hospital. One person sat in the back of the car with me, one of the male officers, brought me to this hospital that's caused me a lot of problems in my life. Pardon, I'm going to take a break here. What happens next, I should have sued them, but it's too late. Don't feel sorry for me. Don't. Between videos, I was wondering, should I tell this? Should I tell this? This is a testimony. I should have died so many times. You have no idea. So many times. There's times I leave out. It was the alcohol, except for this time, because of that medication. Very dangerous medication to come off of. You can end up with over 100 symptoms at once. I couldn't tolerate it. If only I had been told that I have autism and this is the way why you are, this is why this is happening. It was a time when it wasn't. I went the wrong way in life. I wasn't going straight. I was going to the left and to the right. We get to the hospital. They know me, of course. It's about 11 or 12 at night. They walk me down the hallway, get to the front of the desk. And I'm really desperate. Give them my clothes and all that type of stuff, okay. I have, my boxers, I have my socks and my t-shirt. And so I wait and I look down the hallway and I see the police walking away. As soon as they're out of view, I look just inside of the door. There's the garbage bag with my clothes. I grab it because I didn't see anyone there. There was a short 5-foot night nurse and a tall nurse, about 6'2" or 3", about 250 pounds. I'm not overstating that. And I grabbed it. I'm quick, okay? I'm quick still, and I could run then. I was a very quick runner. I turn around. He's already on my back. I didn't know how that happened. I guess it was just in desperation. We fought, like we wrestled. I'm not a type of person, if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you. But if you're purposely doing something to me, if you're purposely like pushing me around, then I'll hit you. But it wasn't like that, so we were just wrestling, but it was, quite violent, and I was a good wrestler. This guy was 250 pounds, he was taller, bigger than me, and I managed to turn the tables on this man, and he started screaming. He wasn't fat either. And they had called a code white. And when the people all got there, there was like 15 people, like orderlies and stuff like that. I'm gonna have to take a break. I looked and I said, okay, it's good. I'm just gonna be calm. And I stayed calm from there. No one had to do anything. They wheeled a bed into the hallway, and I got a very strange feeling. When I had a meltdown when I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I had been given a shot in the thigh, of an antipsychotic, and I get acute akathisia, and I have to go back to the hospital. It wasn't that bad the first time; it was bad enough. But so just give me about a minute here. I need a minute to drink my water because I got to go for a walk soon. Trying to be calm. So it's quite clear that what they're going to do, even though I'm sober and in a desperate state, like I want to keep in mind, they didn't bring me through the front of the hospital. They didn't let me see a doctor. They brought me right from the car, like a 5 or 10 minute ride, and brought me right to the front, and that's where I was, literally sitting in the front of a psychiatric ward 5-10 minutes right after I failed my. That's where I was. I was very desperate. I knew that I was going to have to lie down there. I said, okay, I'll go there, I'll lie down there. I knew they were going to restrain me, because that's what they do to people when they think they can't control them. But like right then, I wasn't going to do anything at all. And as I lay down, I remembered like they put they were the old restraint system, okay, not the new, like loose fitting ones that they have today, which are still, you don't want to be in those. Excuse me. And so they put them on, and I say to them, I'm allergic to haloperidol and antipsychotics. And I'm trying to warn them about it. And all of a sudden I hear, okay, I need you to understand something very quickly. Do you know what acute akathisia is? I said it in my last video. It's the most restless state a human being can be in. Take heroin withdrawal and double that restlessness. I know, because I'm on painkillers for over 20 years. And I've gone through over 100 withdrawals. 100. It was 112 actually. Suffering because of my abdominal pain. I had to keep coming off of them, going back on, it's in my book, 112 times. I know restlessness. All of a sudden I hear this 5-foot nurse, blonde hair. She's just so angry because she couldn't do anything when that was happening. And I heard her say the word haloperidol. I started panicking inside. I say it again. They give me a shot. Restrained. In her anger, I hear her say, give him another. Like, what the hell? Like, that's not good enough? That I'm lying down there, I'm not saying a word? Like I'm controlled now? Like it wasn't enough that they restrained me, that they had to restrain me even further with that? Put me in an office, shut the door. All of a sudden I hear a rush of people. Maybe I'll stop there. I'm just going to tell you this. I'm not going to go through this whole story. The police came and got me. I had no idea why they got the police involved, because they don't do this to other people, like people who are violent on purpose in a psychiatric ward. There was something. They were picking on me. They were picking on me, and that's what people thought afterward. For 3 days, they kicked me out of that hospital, brought me to another one with acute akathisia. The police knew something was wrong with me. They fingerprinted me. They took my mugshot, and I was very confused as to why. Put me in a small cell, then brought me to the hospital. They restrained me for 2 nights, 48 hours. It may have been longer. The only times that my arms were let go was one arm for meals and one arm at bedtime. I don't even want to go over the rest. I was tortured. You wonder why I have CPTSD? Because that's what I consider to be real torture. If you don't believe what I'm saying, go look at what acute akathisia is. I was kept down with little to no play for 48 hours, guys. That's what happened to me. Pardon me. Imagine putting someone in restraints in heroin withdrawal. Don't you think that would make the newspaper? I didn't make anything. And it was much worse than that. Acute akathisia, go look it up. It's like a movement place in your brain and like your amygdala that causes the same area as involuntary movements, like I was telling you that they gave me that day. There was no reason for giving me that at all. Let's move to another. So that's what they did to me. It's what I went through. I was working a job when I was about 21 years old. It was like a training job to be a cook. It was like a government thing. You just wanted a job, right? And it was at this like cookhouse. It was a nice restaurant. And I was electrocuted by the industrial freezer. Two things happened to me. I put a steel mesh thing. I was told to clean it. It shocked me, but I was okay. I'm gonna have to take about a minute break here, pardon me. It's so tough doing it when I'm doing this, but I want to tell my story. After work, a friend comes and picks me up. He had like a CB on his car for his job, and he was a courier, like they called on the CB back then. And he'd say, Dave, you want to go around for to drive? I'd be like, okay. So he gets a call for downtown. I'm outside of Ottawa. Like, I'm in the city of Ottawa. It's considered the city of Ottawa, but I really live in a different city. I'll just say that. So he gets a call for downtown Ottawa. Excuse me. We go down there. We park about 3 blocks away because he's got to go to the courthouse. And so we get out, pay for parking. We start walking towards the courthouse where I have been from being in trouble as a youth. And so we get to the main road, and the courthouse is on the other side. It's a busy road. It's a main artery of the city. I'm on the left side. My friend's on the right side. And when you look left to see the traffic coming, there is a big construction portable halfway on one lane, or partially in the lane. It could be part of the reason this happened. We were talking as we were walking, and I just kept walking. All of a sudden I hear, Dave. I look at my friend, I didn't. I could have looked at him, I don't know. But I looked quickly, and I saw a half-ton pickup truck extended cab, a GMC. I think it was a Sierra extended cab, because I have autism. I remember things in different ways than other people. I have a partial eidetic memory. Like, I can remember buildings from 10 years ago, and I can draw the inside of them that I've only been in once, like with detail. Not all the time, but most of the time I can't do that. All of a sudden it's like right at me, and I have to react very quickly, and I kind of jump up and I turn. The bumper clips my left knee. He's going 50 kilometers an hour. I know because later he said I was speeding. He said it while I was on the ground. So clips my knee, and I think I hopped up because when the truck hit me, it hit my torso, and I ended up on his hood. So I must have jumped. I must have had a good reaction. Slams on his brakes, and my friend will tell you, it was like watching Superman. I flew through the air. It must have been about 15 feet. and luckily I was wearing jeans that day. I landed right on my knees. I don't remember much, just kind of going through the air, not really landing. And then I guess I kind of dragged because it was quite a force, eh? And then I stopped, and I just kind of stopped. It was just like now with my kidney stones, like you feel like a kidney shot. It was like that, but it was like, it was like a steroid. It was like that on steroids. I couldn't breathe for about, like a full minute. I really couldn't catch my breath, and I didn't get up. I waited till the ambulance came. I didn't die again. That was 45, 50 kilometers an hour. It could have been a bit quicker. Brought me to the hospital, gave me Toradol, let me go. Screwed up my knee for life. Offered surgery. Like the inside of my knees are jagged on the inside. But I could have got like a knee replacement, but he said in 20 years it might be worse. I said no, and I've been pretty good with my knees. So with saying all this, this takes me up to where I was telling you about my legs. Just give me a little break. There's a reason I call my book the name I call it, Into the 10th Life, because I had more than 9 lives. I had more than 10 lives. I needed a title. Within 6 months after the cliff, when I was walking, I was getting shocks going up my legs. I didn't know what it was. Slowly I started getting in pain, and I became progressively disabled in my legs, and I didn't know what it was. I'd be sitting on my couch. It just got harder and harder to walk. It was like my legs were getting weaker, and I'd sit on my couch, and there was one sign that was always there, but I didn't know for another 13 years. I felt like I was sitting on a rock, and that was a big sign that should have pointed towards something, but again, there wasn't much information about this. So here I was with full body CRPS, like over my whole body, and my abdominal injury. I'm already in a hell of a lot of, this hospital gives me this medication, like against my knowledge. I develop all these dyskinetic disorders and akathisia, and I go and I jumped off a cliff. Okay, by the way, that's normal with akathisia, acute. And now I'm developing a progressive disability, the worst on earth, the worst pain that there is on earth, that frequently mixes with CRPS. It's the same type of pain. Neuropathic in nature. Give me a break. I'm going to do this for about another 10 minutes and try to finish it off. I don't think I'm going to be able to, though. So here I am. I still don't have my diagnosis. It's 2009, so it's been like 6 years since my first pain from Nardil, from those convulsions. I still don't have a diagnosis for my pain, but I'm on opiates. My life is absolutely crumbling before my eyes. Already was already. My legs hurt. They hurt so much. I had to bring myself, walk up to the bar, or I'd ask my parents. I would go there, and actually I did quite well with alcohol. I'm not kidding you. I did it because I realized that I was in so much physical pain that if I screwed it up by drinking alcohol, I couldn't do it again. I'd go up and I would relieve it with alcohol. That was the only thing that did it, and I didn't know it's an NMDA receptor antagonist or agonist that treats it just like ketamine does. They're in the same category, alcohol and ketamine. No wonder it was treating it. It's called adhesive arachnoiditis. I went through hell for many years, bedbound, couchbound for almost 8.5 years. Just brutal. Couldn't stand up. It got to the point where I couldn't barely stand up for 10 seconds. My dad was giving me shots. My dad gave me over 1,500 shots, my thigh, my butt. I was developing like adhesions in my butt from so many shots. All that stuff is okay now, though. In case you ever see my butt. I went through absolute hell. I was bedbound. And then the splenic flexure syndrome really got bad one night. There I was in my bed, and this is another crux of my story. I'm fast forwarding. No doctors could tell me what was going on. Nobody could tell me anything. I was very pissed off. That's society for not being able to go through every single test. You know, I could name every test for you. The diagnosing process for CRPS was so hard to qualify for that they had to change it because so many people were killing themselves. It's called the pain suicide diseases for a reason. I should have said that. Pain suicide diseases. So that's why I shot myself with a crossbow, because it was burning and aching so much. No one was telling me what was wrong, and here I was again with the even more painful. I didn't think there was more painful, but there was. And it's more painful, it's as painful, it says in the literature, you can go read, as terminal cancer pain. And when I'm talking to you right now, does it look like I am? Does it look like I am? Because I am. It's brutal. My legs are burning anyways. I know what led to that, and that wasn't my fault. I remember I was in my bed and I'm lying back. I can't breathe. I didn't know why. I'm so breathless, probably because of my adhesions were so tight. Something wrong with my throat. I was sleeping for no more than 2 hours a night. I wasn't drinking water anymore. I wasn't eating. I didn't tell you that part. I went down to 95 pounds. There I was at the beginning, 190 pounds, pretty muscular guy, and very active. And then I'm lying back in my bed, can't breathe, can't sleep. My legs are up like this on my bed, because if I put them out, it feels like they're ripping in the back. It was like torture. I couldn't wait till my dad came up and gave me a shot. And I didn't have enough coverage for all I couldn't take. It was Toradol. You're not supposed to take that stuff for more than like a week. I took it for 10 years. Then I developed 4 ulcers in my stomach, but that's another story. I don't take Toradol anymore. I healed from that. I may as well just go all the way with this story. Pardon me. At that point, what would you think? I was going in and out of delirium because I was so tired. I chose not to speak anymore because I couldn't breathe. Every time I spoke, the breathlessness would just get, like it would last for many minutes, like 10 minutes. So I stopped speaking, stopped eating. I'm gonna go take a bathroom break, and I'll be back, and I hope I can finish this. At that point in your life, you're like, I'm staring up at my ceiling. I'd literally be playing games with my eyes, like dots on the ceiling. I was messed up. If I saw a bird go by my window, I would be happy because I couldn't get out of my bed for more than 10 seconds at a time. My life was over. One of the problems was I couldn't really take opiates. Here I am with terminal cancer equivalent pain in just one of the disorders in my legs and lower back. And I'm not taking opiates because they're causing me so much trouble. What am I doing? They were causing a lot of trouble because I couldn't move around. I wasn't eating. I was dying, guys. Like, it was like if I would have lost 5 or 10 more pounds, I would have died. That's what it says. You cannot go beyond 85 pounds and not live. For 2 years or something, I drank no more than a few hundred milliliters of water per day, and I would eat maybe a cookie, like a digestive cookie. That's the way it was. It got so bad, I had no sleep, because if I took sleep meds, they would last, say, 10 hours, they sedate you. I would wake up an hour or two later in sedation. Why do I keep waking up? Like, what's happening? Had to do with my throat and my abdomen. I think a candle fell over or something. So I was still able to come up with a plan in my head. I'm going to try to see how quickly I can tell this story now. I had a plan in my head to end my life. It would only be fair. I don't believe in suicide, okay? I'm making that very clear to you. But is it, if someone is in so bad dementia, if someone is in the pains that you can't even imagine, is it viable? Would God say okay to that? Or does God want that person burning more than you can ever think, just nonstop? And that's how they live. They don't do anything. That's the way my life was. What would I ever do if I could reverse this? That's what I thought. So what did I do? I had a plan in my head to take my life. I didn't have diagnosis. I had something called adhesive arachnoiditis, which means my spine, after that hit of my coccyx, triggered a progressive disease called adhesive arachnoiditis. Adhesive means to adhere to something. Arachnoiditis sounds like a spider web, because it almost is, in your spine. It's scar tissue that on a microscope looks like a spider web. It's scar tissue, and it's spread out. It's called arachnoiditis, inflammation of the spine. That's what arachnoiditis is. And but adhesive is if that scar tissue sticks to the side of the canal, then it's called adhesive. Like, all the scar tissue attaches from one nerve to another, and they adhere to each other. And when they adhere to each other and stick to the wall, it's called adhesive arachnoiditis. There is no more painful syndrome on earth than that, and that's what I have. And so I came up, and I had full body pain already, my abdomen, and all the things that had happened. I made a plan in that state because I knew I still had enough energy to do something. I waited for my parents to leave one weekend. They wouldn't leave me for long. No one would leave me for long. I don't blame them. Like, my mom wondering, like, what's going on with my son, My mom would sit in the hallway upstairs because I couldn't really speak. I couldn't tell him what was wrong because these stupid fucking doctors. just let me go through this without telling me what was wrong with me. The answer lay in my spine. It was in my spine, and I needed like a specialist. Even if I got a radiologist and I needed a specialist to see it. So I went, and I hung myself. I got alcohol when my parents were gone by a delivery service, so I could kill some of my pain to get up. I had painkillers, and I used them, and I used colic medications, and it was complete all the way around, like as bad as it gets, like sticking out like a football player's neck, like twice the size of my neck right now. I woke up in a hospital because a woman walking her dog found me and cut me down. And let's see, am I ashamed to tell this story? Then I remember in 2016, a year later, so I ended up with something called the brachial plexus. I had something wrong with my lung because of that. I forget what it's called, but it's really serious, but it went away. But what they didn't tell me was I had to get an MRI for that. Oh my. It was a lot of pain to go through that. I had to have a nurse speak to me while I was going through that. So I'm in there, and anyway, so they tell me I have a brachial plexus. It's the worst injury possible in a human being. It's also nicknamed the stinger. I had a paralyzed right side. My shoulder is kind of atrophied. It's atrophied than the other one. And this is what they didn't tell me. I'll make it shorter, this story shorter. In 2016, there was more injuries, but they didn't tell me. They didn't tell me. The same hospital as I'm talking about the other times, that all these things that they've done to me. Who gave me that meds, who tied me down akathisia for 2 full days. Pardon me. Let's just say I went through some hospitalization, some tests. I lost this side. Try taking a shower with all the things I just mentioned and not having your side. Thank God it wasn't my good side. I'm a left-handed person. And it was the next year. I wanted to take my life again. That was the theme of this. That's why I talk about shame. I just wanted to stop this pain. Respectfully. I wanted to do it with dignity. You can't judge me. You're not my place. You didn't, like the series of events, you just don't understand if you're judging me. So the next year I did something, but it didn't work. I passed out. I passed out as I overdosed. And I was brought to a different hospital this time. I paced the hallways for a month. I was on a limited amount of pain meds. No Toradol. I had no control of any of these pains. I wouldn't speak in there. Can you imagine your grandmother with terminal cancer pain roaming the hallways of a psychiatric ward for a month? I'm not going to make this any longer than it was. I'm sure that caused me PTSD and just further to CPTSD. It was a nightmare. But things started to look up. I hope this, I gotta plug this in so it doesn't run out of energy and I lose everything. From walking those hallways for a month, full month, I was eating full meals too, but I was paying a lot of price for that. I was no quicker than a Parkinson's patient, and they didn't suspect a thing. They didn't ask me why I was walking that way. I'll never know why they didn't. I'd walked so much that I built up some strength. And I forget which one I did first because I'm in a lot of pain in my abdomen. But yes, I told my dad when I get out of the hospital, can you please help me? I don't want to be at home for obvious reasons. I don't want to lie in a bed again. I don't want to be like that again. And my dad had come into the hospital after I hung myself, yelling at the staff. They had to hold him back because my dad said, I just want to take him somewhere to end his life in Switzerland. I'm sure you've heard that before. And I deserved it, by the way. Maybe not by God, though. I didn't expect to tell this whole story. You know, I started erasing stuff off my other channel because I felt it was affecting my, you know, like who I was. I'm going to tell you something very quickly. If you're suicidal, don't harm yourself. It isn't worth it. There is another way. There are other ways. That way is God, whether you know it or not. It is God. I'm going to tell you why if I... Kind of hard to save it last when I'm like this. I'm going to take another colic medication. I never take extra meds ever. It's just like a little white pill. I think it's called like Nightshade. Like Nightshade is in it. That's why it's so special. It's for colic, like kidney colic. And I had built up enough I didn't want to stay at home. My dad agreed to help me. I walked from Ottawa, Ontario, in this state, with short-acting oxycodone, short-acting, to Kingston, Ontario. All the way there. It was almost 100. It was 170 kilometers I walked, and I did it for part of the reason was for someone who was in the psychiatric ward who had no hope. I told him I would do it. I got to my brother's house, and I think my dad picked me up. I had a meal with my brother. I couldn't stay there and talk with him. I was out of it. And like I would stay in a hotel. It was like over like 3 days or something. And like my dad would sleep in the same hotel room as me when I was done. I would walk for 12 hours. So it was like 36 hours I walked or something. And then I can't remember, like, I think I biked back. I may have done it twice, I can't remember. I took his bike off the wall and I biked back from Kingston back to Ottawa. And that's when I got to biking again, because I'd been a mountain biker all my life before that. But I did it to my hurt. Like I developed cellulitis in my legs because I was biking so much. But there I was back on my feet again. It was a good thing. 2017, my mother died. And I didn't get along with my dad so much. It was a very tough time for me. My mother dying like this, I couldn't even really express myself to her. I did my best. I sat by her bedside, read the Bible to her. But I didn't get to say the things that I really wanted to. You know, like you can barely breathe. There's a whole bunch of people around at any given time. She was a believer. I'll see her again. Like she was born again. I came off of opiates again because they were causing me trouble. stayed on my feet. I was taking something called Suboxone, which is a horrible partial opiate. It was making me very agitated. And I didn't get along with my dad in close quarters. I came off benzodiazepines because I was on a big dose. I wanted off because I felt there were things underneath I had to resolve. I don't mean mental things. Physical. I thought it was causing me a lot of abdominal pain, one of them. I went through a horrific withdrawal. I took a lot away. And I couldn't mourn my mom properly like this. By 2018, me and my dad couldn't get along. And he said, I think you're going to have to move out. And, I was kind of frightened. How am I ever going to do this? I don't even have a credit card. I don't have a phone. I don't have anything. What do I need? What do I need? I'm on ODSP because at the time, I'm still on it now, and I'd probably like to keep it for the rest of my life because of its benefits. Because, well, I can go on and off if I want, and I do have a business, but I didn't then. I have an online store. I sell things, but I moved out here in a horrific state. But I've been working out here every day for 5 years. Like, not easy exercises, full body, like almost 50 push-ups a day, dips, shoulders, whatever. I got stronger. I started learning everything, like how to do things, how to do my laundry, to bathe every day because it's very hard in my state. And it got to the point where I was able to teach other people, but I was still in bad shape, didn't have my diagnosis. I'm going to say the rest of this very quickly because I got to go pick something up and go for a walk. This is very important for me to get out, and I don't know if I'm going to keep it on my channel forever, but I do want some people to hear it. Before I left home, I suspected two things: autism and adhesive arachnoiditis, which I was right on both accounts. I was onto something. And let's just say someone told me that you have to talk to this person in California and he'll look at your scan for free. I asked for a full body scan. I got a full scan, and it came back as degenerative disc disease. And I was told to look out for that result because it really isn't. Like, it is, but there's something else. And I forgot about that result. My doctor read it to me. I was very, very upset. Then I'd forgot I sent my copy to this specialist who specializes in this disease. It's called the disease of no hope, and go figure, it's called the devil's disease. That's what it's called because there's barely any hope with it. The report came back. I was diagnosed with adhesive arachnoiditis. And not only that, it wasn't just like a bogus diagnosis from nobody. It was from a specialist known for this, but he could point it out. I can see the scar tissue in the MRI, versus a regular one adhered to the sides. I started looking in my files. I got very interested. What happened to me when I hung myself? What was everything that happened there? Because I feel I developed so much neck pain, so much other stuff. I start looking through my files. I start looking at those dates when all these doctors had seen me. They forgot. So here I have a brachial plexus in my right shoulder. I can't tell you how painful that was. I lost even more sleep. I started sleeping on the couch in my parents' house because I didn't want to stay in a bed. It turned out that it was a full strangulation. As I can't even find a picture that was more complete. So it's just called the complete strangulation. I tore my sternocleidomastoid muscle, which is your major neck muscle, which in literature it says isn't common. That happens. You don't regularly see that. They didn't tell me about it. So you could see the muscle is torn. It's a permanent injury. Not only that, but what else was it? My trapezius was also torn. And then I developed trapezial neuralgia. Then I already had trigeminal neuralgia already in one side, but I developed it on the other. So here I got bilateral trigeminal neuralgia and occipital. So it hit a whole bunch of nerves. And so there it is. The trouble you see me having with my throat, I don't know if it's all to do with just throat dysphonia. It could have been, I may have hit my vagus nerve. We don't know. We don't know. You can't diagnose that. I forget how you do, but it's definitely not an easy diagnosis. So give me another break and I'm going to tell you the very last part. So I cried when I got that diagnosis. All around that time, I went for a full checkup. Like it was like a 6-step phone calls and then go inspect my body. And I finally got my diagnosis of full body RSD. He said it's not called that. People think they have that, but it's really called the nociplastic pain syndrome. It's like full body reflex sympathetic dystrophy, the worst pains in the world. I finally got it after almost 20 years. I was justified. Then I was justified with that. Then I went for my autism diagnosis and they said I had autism. It was an autism expert for my province, so I knew it was legitimate. And pardon me. I felt unworthy. I felt like a piece of garbage for years. Imagine walking into pain clinics. You're by far the worst pain patient. And they won't even give you a diagnosis. I forget all the things that happened because of the level of my pain. But God gave me, I got my autism diagnosis and I got my diagnosis for my throat. But then in June 2021, against my better judgment and the pressure of society, shouldn't have with a spinal disorder, I got the Moderna shot. You know what it did? I got what I believe is myocarditis. Too late to take a look at it because I woke up and couldn't breathe. I had a rash for 6 days on my abdomen, my chest, my neck. I had so much abdominal pain. Those are the symptoms of myocarditis. Part of them, and I'll have to look again, but I developed a disorder that, here we go again, hospital. I went 40 times. 40 times I went to the hospital. You know how much time that took me? Because they thought I had like pancreatitis type gallstone. But it turned out I had to get a special test called a hydroscan, and they screwed it up the first time. An x-ray on a table for 2 hours. You can't move or it screws it up. They screwed it up the first time. They called me for a second one because they felt bad for me. It was a good radiologist. He was nice to me. He called me back. He said, "Do you want another one?" I said, "Yes." I went back, and he said, "This time I'm going to read it in front of you." He came back right in front of me and my dad, because my dad was with me, and so I need to drive to get there. And So he reads it and he says it's 93 or 92 or 93% ejection fraction of my gallbladder. And I thought, hey, that's great. It sounds like it's an almost perfect working condition. But I had more questions than feeling good about it, because here I am, it feels like I'm having a gallstone. Not only am I going through kidney colic in this, but my gallbladder attacks all the time. Not all the time, but it's always there in a general sense. So it's like the feeling of pancreatic cancer. It's no different. It's the same pain. What a life, eh? So I went home. I go on my computer later. I look it up. It turns out it's called gallbladder hyperkinesia. Nobody's ejection fraction is supposed to be over 35 or something. Mine's at 92. The only way to have this fixed is to have my gallbladder taken out, and there's risks in my case, and I'm nervous about it because they could cut that and cut the muscle, and I could develop something called gallbladder dyskinesia, which in turn could screw up taking opiates. So if I take an opiate and I develop that, it'll cause that same pain all over again and not resolve my issue. But the only way to have it resolved is to have it out. It's called a functional disorder. No one wants to touch me around here. No one. I'm in a very tough spot right now. But don't feel sorry for me, because my life is much better than you think. This is just me trying to stay still in a frame. This is very tough. My meds have kicked in more, so I'm going to finish this off here. I don't want to leave anything out, though. If there is, I'll just do it later. I met a woman online, and a few times. She betrayed me. Was a narcissist, covert. In this state, because she wasn't close to me, I couldn't see close up what they were like. If you've ever been through anything like that, anyways, it hurt me. I'm not going to lie, it hurt me. Then at that point, I realized some stuff in my life. God pointed out the covert narcissist to me. This person was trying to take me out, but it didn't work. It was just the opposite. Pardon me. I'll be back in a second. Excuse me. This is a long list, isn't it? You'd think going through 112 opiate withdrawals, and by the way, those withdrawals I went through from the beginning to the end. Those withdrawals could be 10 days, they could be 14 days. You think that would be enough, right? There's a reason I know how to help people. There's a reason I know how to come up with mental health plans, mental and physical health plans. I built up my body again. And one of the reasons was a different, anyways, I came off Toradol, by the way, because I developed 4 ulcers in my stomach, and it was right at the time of my gallbladder. So they did they did an endoscopy, looked at my stomach, like, you got four ulcers, that must be it. That's probably what they thought. But they weren't bleeding, they were just forming. I said, there's no way the only way I can figure out what this is to take Toradol away. And I was so scared. It's the only thing that was protecting my spine from my pain. Then my doctor said, well, up your opiates. So I'm like, okay, I'll take 2 more, just, long acting. It's still a low dose. Learn how to use them properly. Drink water, eat food, go for walks, sleep, exercise, repeat. That's my life. I'm going to tell you something. So I said the covert narcissist. I know my boundaries now. I don't need validation from anyone but God. You can cuss me out on these videos. I don't care. The only person that matters to me is God, and that's what I came to the conclusion. The covert narcissist was the icing on the top. For me to learn what people are like. I like good people. I try to be good to everyone. That's the way everyone should be. Pardon me, I gotta take another break for a second. Bad GI distress. Yeah. I'd never heard of so much suffering in my life. And I wrote a book and I published it. That was a good accomplishment of mine. I love writing articles. I like doing all that type of stuff. So I wrote a book called Into the 10th Life, and it's all there. Some of it may be wrong because things have happened since. So here I am with 12 or 13 pain disorders, of which 8 or 9 are serious. 4 pain suicide diseases, splenic flexure syndrome, kidney stones, gallbladder hyperkinesia. It's just like a gallstone, but all the time. My upper body, my brachial plexus is torn sternocleidomastoid, bilateral trigeminal neuralgia, occipital. I was in such bad shape that I had 14 cavities because I couldn't get out of my bed and go anywhere. I got that all fixed though. I refused to get new teeth. My dad offered to pay for brand new teeth, like good teeth, but I didn't want him to spend that much money on me. I got them fixed, and if anything happens to them, then I'll just get something done. So listen to this part, and I'm going to shut it up. This is worth saying. You can believe me, or you can fail to believe me after everything I've told you. I don't hallucinate. Like, I don't see things, I don't hear things, none of that. I spoke a lot to this person on the phone, this woman, who I did like, of course, or else I wouldn't have talked with her. And we spoke every night for like a year, like 2 or 3 hours. We talked during the day a lot. But it was keeping me away from life. It was keeping me away from excelling. It was keeping me away from God. And there were a lot of red flags that I certainly ignored, and you probably know them all. I'm going to show you this. This is a miracle. Remember I told you in another video, I said, you know how Paul the Apostle chose not to talk about going to the third heaven. I'm not saying I went to heaven, okay? We're talking and I'm on this phone. I have 2 of them. about 9 different times in all, the phone did something. Like, number one, the conversation would cut off. That was number one. Number two, numbers would appear on my phone. Numbers that have no business being on this phone. I look at them, then the phone shuts off. Like, you can't see anything. Like the battery's dead. Like, it's gone. Nothing's on the screen. Like, it's blank. Then it comes back up with a dial tone. I'm like, what the hell? Eidetic memory. I copied that down later, looked. It happened a number of times. And I started to look at them. They were Bible verses. I'm not kidding you. I know what happened. And they were at very specific times. They were very specific verses. Romans 13:11. I think it was a double. I think it was Romans 11 and 13:11 and Corinthians 13:11. Once I talk like a child, thought like a child, but when you know that one, go read it. But the other one said this. It was the first one that happened on here. I knew it was from God. I knew it was. I don't talk about it so I don't sound like I'm nuts. Romans 13:11. Wake up, for your time of salvation is near. And lo and behold, I get all my diagnosis, like a string of them, like 6 or 7 of them, about 6 months after that, after I look it up and see that. And when I got diagnosed with my spinal disorder and my full body, that came to my mind like a magnet. Your salvation is near. Not only that, coronavirus, all the end approaching. That's what happened to me. I started getting better, developed a business. Like, I can go walk now with no Toradol. I can go walk 10K. I can bike 100K. I'm not bragging. That's I'm very fit. Pardon me a second. I learned what people were like. I'd been betrayed throughout my life by people who I thought were my friends. Not my friends. People just stopped talking to me for no reason. I'm good to people. I'm good to everyone I come across. Then, like the very, what would you call it? Antithesis of like just a break was that covert narcissist to teach me what people are like and how to keep your boundaries and don't let these sons of bitches in your life. Sorry, I don't usually use words like that. I don't even barely swear. I don't swear in the name of the Lord unless I hit my toe or something like that. Then all of a sudden, within about a year of that, I was walking one day, and I've told you in my videos, I was walking through a tunnel, and I felt convicted of my sins in a way that I never knew before. I knew the Bible already, but I wasn't born again. But in that moment, I was born again. I started feeling convicted of everything, like in a different way. No more thoughts of wanting to end my life, by maid medical assistance and dying and all that type of stuff. be happy, live with God in my life, have God as my Savior. And protect me from like all this stuff. And as I went to bed last night, I wondered, should I tell this whole story? I remember I put up my arm, I'm like, yeah, I will for you, God. I'll exalt you in my weakness. I never cry. I don't. Not like this. It was a hard life. Pardon me. When I tell people of the things that happened to me, like they tied me down for 2 days like that, and I couldn't even, there was no recourse, nobody paid for it. But all these feelings of payback and the way people treat me, I was born again. And I've been studying the Bible for over 4 years. I love it. I love God. God is the only way to save you from these types of things. And I guess maybe this is why I'm alive, to tell you this in this pain. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for watching this if you followed it all the way through. I don't feel bad. I don't. I just thinking of those things. There is no other way but God. He does wonderful things. And if he can take me out of this, he can take you out of anything.